very gifted, Gabrijela Solomon.
I'm Gabrijela Solomon. I'm a writer, therapeutic touch practitioner, and for years I've been ardent explorer of spiritual dimensions of existence. It started actually when I was a little girl. I was a child. I was maybe 4 years old. I was in my grandmother's house combing my hair, couldn't reach the mirror, and all of a sudden I was gazing in the mirror and I couldn't recognize myself. I saw my image, but I couldn't recognize myself. Raymond Moody did a beautiful research and a beautiful work researching near-death experience, life after death, and he wrote a book, Life After Life, which I couldn't put down. As an 11-year-old, I found a scenario for self-hypnosis. Of course, I was not brave enough to try it on myself, but I tested it on my sister, younger sister. At that time, she was 9 years old, and I persuaded her that that's a good thing to know about past lives because the scenario was actually like past life regression scenario. And I was actually able to bring her back, at least for a while, for a few seconds, to some of her past life experiences. It was quite dramatic for her, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and also to her, because she saw herself committing something very bad, and that was very upsetting for her. But that was, again, for me, that was a proof, oh my God, it really works. I'm like a little scientist doing a research, following the footsteps of Raymond Moody. When I was maybe 15 years old, I got in touch with the spirit of a deceased man who introduced himself as an uncle of my father. Of course, I was totally gullible, and I believed whatever that spirit said. He was very religious, and obviously he was talking about Jesus, giving me a lot of messages. He was a benevolent spirit who wanted to guide me. And I didn't even know how lucky I was at that point to actually got in touch through a very primitive method, needle and a thread. I got in touch with a spirit, a deceased man who once lived and who was an uncle of my father. Of course, I didn't believe it at first, so I wanted to do a little session when my father was present. So I asked my father to ask the spirit a question. So he asked him questions, and he gave him answers that I couldn't possibly know. And my father got very afraid. He said, oh my God, you're dealing with something very bad. Being from religious background, for Catholics, it was a devil's work for him, of course. But for me, it was all about research, knowing more. How did I embark in a past life journey? I wrote a book about my past lives, and being in this place, in this exact room, means a lot to me because the journey that I embarked on actually started in this room in 2007, when I hired a very gifted medium channeler sitting with us, Sam, to actually to find out more about past lives, not my own past lives. At that point, I wasn't even interested. I had my friend who I closely worked with. He encountered a lot of problems in his life, and I thought that this would be a good way to find the reasons for these problems. A row of series of very severe obstacles on his mission, on his life mission. So I wanted to find out who he was in his past lives, how were we connected, and I actually hired a medium to do that. Knowledge of past lives adds to nothing. If you find out about your past lives, it's the same as hearing any other story, right? It's just a story for most people. But there are higher reasons why you can explore it. You can go back and explore your past life. One of the important reasons is healing and clearing. A lot of people have the variety of issues in their lives, and they feel that they cannot explain why. It doesn't make much sense to them. It doesn't have much logic what's happening to them. But if you are strongly drawn to explore past lives, that must be a higher reason why you're actually drawn to explore it. There's a likelihood that you're carrying something from the past that needs to be cleared out. Another reason is understanding relationships that date from previous lives. Why? Because if people would be aware that people who are maybe we see as enemies were our relatives, our family in this life, this world would be completely different. There wouldn't be any wars, because we would understand that people that we, for any reason that we feel aversion towards, they may have been our sons, daughters, somebody very close to us. It is important, sometimes it's really understand those relationships, because a lot of times children may get back to have the same parents that they had. Parents may get the same children. There may be same issues that are just going from one life to another. If we would understand the relationships that date from previous lives, and maybe the wrongdoings that we had towards those people, or that those people had towards us, we would learn forgiving. Understanding relationship that date from previous lives is mostly about forgiving. Another reason is discovering potentials that you may not realize you have. This is an important one, because we don't know how we are all beautiful spirits. We come here on earth to learn. Sometimes, since we lose our memory of our past lives, we lose an idea, a lot of times, of who we were and what we are supposed to be. So, if we discover our potentials, we may make different decisions in our life. We may go to different areas of activities. Understanding your special mission. A lot of spirits come to earth, majority of them, to actually to go through trials and temptations of a human life on earth. But there are those who come with a special mission. Special missions are those are highly evolved spirits who come to guide humanity, either on their own or to join with other, or to join the clusters. They're like lieutenants of the divine power. They have, by knowing about their past lives, that they may help them understand their special mission.